I got married and I was Mary and I were buying our first house, and the loan officer was a brother of a friend of mine. We're doing our loan application and he's like, man, you need to get in the mortgage business. And he's sitting there with a coat and tie, and I'm thinking, man, I did that in the clothing business. I don't know that I want to do the coat and tie thing. He's like, man, I think you'd be really good at it. And I said, nah, I'm really not interested. About 2 nights later, I'm at a party and a friend of mine walks up to me and he says, man, I just lost my job. I'm looking for another job. And he said, I want to go to work with somebody that likes to hunt and fish and do that kind of stuff. And I said, well, you know, this guy tried to hire me in the mortgage business. And then I went to his office the next day and he had a deer head and a fish in his office. I said, why don't you give him a call? Because, you know, if he was trying to hire me, maybe he'd hire you. So my buddy Hal went and talked to this guy and he got hired. My buddy Donnie Crane hired him. A couple of weeks, months later, Hal's like, man, I made X amount of money. And then about a month or two, like, man, this is the most money I've ever made. And I'm like, dude, you made a month what I've been making in a year. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, you need to get in this business. So finally, it was the first time in my life I said, you know what, I'm gonna go take a job because I want to make some money, not because it's what I'm passionate about. And that was a big thing for me. But I was newly married and wanting to start a family, and I felt like I really needed that responsibility of making some money. So I took this job. For 6 months, I didn't do a single deal. And then a refi hit, and then I was off to the races. Rates dropped, people started calling. Maybe sometimes you do something for the money and then you'll fall in love with it later, because that's what happened with me. The money was better than any money I'd been making. The hours were better. Eventually got to where I could just wear my golf shirt and not really worry about it. And it was all because I decided I needed to do the right thing for my family. And sometimes that's what you need to do. I know a lot of people are out there holding on to certain businesses because they're passionate about it and they feel purposeful about it. But sometimes you have to make a decision what's best for your family. So that got me in the mortgage business. And then when I got in the mortgage business, I was able to step back and use some of the marketing stuff that I'd learned in the clothing business and in the garbage business, recycling business, to bring to the mortgage industry. And that really helped me propel my mortgage business. And so what you find is that people are in industries and they market like everybody else in their industry. And they're not looking outside of their industry to come up with different ways to market. And that's a crucial thing, because your plumber may be doing some marketing stuff that you need to use in your business. Your CPA might be doing some marketing things that you need to use in your business. Or somebody in Australia might be marketing some way that you need to use in your business. And so people don't look outside of their business. That's how you stick out, is by doing something totally different. There are not a lot of people in the mortgage business doing video. There's not a lot of people in the coaching and consulting business doing these kind of videos. It's a different sort of approach to attract customers. So think about that. That was a big thing I learned in the mortgage business, was look at what other people are doing and maybe some of those ideas will work for you. So if you're struggling, you're in a business, you need somebody to help you a little bit. Because I got in the mortgage business, I was able to eventually grow that mortgage company to be one of the top mortgage brokers in the state of Georgia. I was the president of the Mortgage Brokers Association, so I learned about other brokers in the state and what they were doing and what they were up against. I had a bunch of employees at one time. I learned a lot of stuff about HR, how to handle people. I learned a lot about salespeople. I had a lot of salespeople. I learned a lot about administrative people and how to handle those type of people. One of the big things that I learned from that is what I call the rules of the game. I read somewhere where a guy was talking about, you know what, when a professional coach gets fired, you don't ever see him complaining much. When an offensive lineman gets demoted and somebody takes his place, you don't really see him complaining much. He said because they all knew what the rules of the game were. The head coach knew that if he didn't win or get them to the playoffs, he couldn't stay. The owner made that very clear to him. You got 2 years to get me to the playoffs. You got 3 years to get me to the Super Bowl. Whatever. He knew going in what the deal was. The offensive lineman knew that on every play call what his assignment was, and if he didn't perform 95% of the time, he knew the offensive line coach was going to remove him. The guy that's running the offense knows if he doesn't score enough touchdowns to win, he's out of there. Do your employees know that? And what I find is that people haven't sat down with their employees to say, hey, if you want to keep your job, here's exactly what's got to happen. If you do this, if you run out of bounds or you commit a foul or whatever, then you don't need to show up at work the next day. You need to go ahead and leave, because you can't stay if you can't do this, or if you can't operate this way. If you do these things, this is how you get promoted. This is how you get a raise. It's really, really clear with them. And since I've instituted that, people quit. I don't hardly ever have to fire anybody, because they know that they didn't meet the rules and that they can't stay. We were real clear. They were happy with it. I was happy with it. It didn't work out. they win. So I'm here to help you in any way I can. I'd love to talk to you and help you avoid some of these pitfalls that I've experienced. I'd love to talk to you and help you with some of the knowledge I've gained from other people in other industries, because I love to talk to highly successful people and figure out why they're successful. It's one of my cool things I like to do. I want to pick their brains, so to speak. So some of that knowledge I have, I want to share with you. So give me a call if you need somebody to talk to.